Hey guys, it's been way too long since I've made a video and I do miss it, but in honor of National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, which starts October 1st, I wanted to share a little bit about my testimony for those who either didn't know or have never heard that part of my testimony. I just wanted to share a little bit about how it even starts. So my story, right before I turned 21, I met the man that would turn my life completely upside down for the next 7 years. Unlike a lot of survivors, I didn't stay because I loved him. I stayed because I was more afraid to leave than I was to stay. And I'll explain that in a second. And by the way, I apologize for any background noise. This is very amateur. But it started off, looking back now, they say hindsight is 20/20, but looking back, I see it was very textbook in the sense of when I first met him, he said and did all the right things. He was just showering me with compliments, with gifts, with surprises, with affirmations, like I was just the next best thing to, sliced bread, as they say. But after about a year, I think it was about a year into our relationship, was the first time that he slapped me. And of course, he made it seem like it was my fault. And in speaking to a lot of survivors, it's not uncommon it's almost like surreal the first time they hit you, like it almost didn't happen. And then of course, like I said, they make it seem like it was your fault. But after that is when like the verbal abuse started, putting me down, criticizing the way I dressed. In fact, he was, thinking that he was just being super sweet and bringing me all my favorite desserts and sweets and whatnot. His motive was to get me to gain weight. And he told me later on in the relationship, like that he's like, oh yeah, you thought you were all that. And I thought to myself, oh yeah, I'll show her. And sure enough, it worked. I gained I think at my biggest, I was about 240. And so little by little, like when we would go grab a bite to eat, he would say babe, let's go to the park and eat there. That way we're not around other people. And I thought, oh, that is so romantic. Yeah, okay, let's do that. Not realizing that that was the beginning stages of isolation, which is one of the first signs of a domestic violence relationship is isolation. Again, before I knew it, he started making me feel like my friends, my very close friends that I had all through high school and even junior high, etc., that they didn't respect me, that I was a joke, that I was a clown, that I was this and that. Same thing with my husband, with my family. So within about a year's time, I no longer had any friends at all. I was pretty much estranged from my family, and all my time was spent with him. I went from being a social butterfly and the life of the party to basically being a prisoner in his tiny little room. Again, estranged from my family, not having any more friends. Before I knew it, that's when the relationship, not only was it verbally abusive, it was physically abusive, it was mentally abusive, psychologically abusive, and very sadly, if I didn't already say it, sexually abusive. He wasn't the kind of person that would hit me in my face, I guess to avoid people wondering what was wrong with me. A lot of it entailed torture. I'm not going to get into details, of course, but a lot of it was torture. And to top it off, I figured out that he was also mentally ill. I didn't have to be a doctor to figure that one out, but he was mentally ill. Which made it worse. And then to top it off, I found out even later after the relationship ended that he was a warlock and his mom was a witch. Now, when I first met him, he did tell me he was a medium, and he proved it by letting me know you wore this on that day and this and whatnot, and all the creepy stuff that he would do and him and his mom would do in the name of religion. Not realizing that I was also partaking in witchcraft, which is a whole another talk show. But that all kind of played the part in the psychological and mental abuse, because I couldn't even get to the point where I was even thinking for myself. I remember clearly one day we were at the, if anyone knows the area, at the 7-Eleven off of Greenleaf and Whittier Boulevard. and he wanted to go up the street, the next street light, which is Painter, to go get something. I forgot something at the shopping center. And this time I was driving, and when he told me to go, I froze because I didn't remember how to get there. I was so mind controlled that I froze, and he got so angry, he backhanded me, and like one of my contact lenses fell out, which was one of the most minor things that happened during those 7 years. But saying all that to say that it can begin so stealth. And I never grew up around that. I never saw it. Of course, my family, we weren't, I grew up in a very, sheltered type of family. It wasn't until about 5 years into the relationship, at a time where he was torturing me. All of a sudden it dawned on me. I said, I'm gonna call the cops. And he says, oh, what are you, a battered woman? And then he started laughing. And then I thought, well, maybe I'm not, because he hasn't hit me in the face. And see, I didn't realize that you didn't have to be hit in the face. I didn't realize that you didn't even have to be hit, period, to be in a domestic violent relationship. And there's so many different types of domestic abuse, from withholding money to even using religion, etc. But unfortunately, I did experience all of the above. The crazy and weird thing is, to which I'm barely understanding, I kept it from everybody. No one knew about the abuse the entire time. I would stare at his mom at times, and I would look at her, like I would beg her to figure it out. And I believe that she did know, but she was kind of in on it, or she was afraid of him, maybe both, I don't know. But every night when I would go home, I would just cry myself to sleep. And I remember even writing a note one time saying that if I ever ended up missing or dead, so-and-so did it. That was my reality. My whole goal in life was to just hurry up and live so that I could die. Those of you that know me, I'm just so outgoing and such a social butterfly. Imagine literally practically living in this tiny bedroom. We never went anywhere. He put me down, and again, like any other abusive relationship, one moment he's beating the crap out of me, torturing me, whatever, burning me with cigarettes, threatening to light me on fire, throwing me in a closet, etc., to I'm too good to tie my own shoes. I'm the most beautiful woman on the earth, and it wasn't until, people always ask me, like, how did you get out? And it wasn't until a couple of years ago that I realized it was the ultimate form of control, because he allowed me to leave. It's sort of a long story, but that day, I came back. I'll never forget. It was February 16th, and I believe it was 2001. And although it was very, very many years ago, unfortunately, to this day, I still feel some of the effects. I do have some PTSD, and still working through. If I really put my mind to it, and I think about how scared and how helpless I felt at times, I will get emotional. It's something that I have to work through. But I'm so grateful to God for setting me free, even when I didn't know him. This man allowed me to leave. God used whatever he had to get him to allow me to leave. And I just want to encourage you that if you know somebody, or if you are in a relationship like that, to please speak out. Please break the silence. I'm such an advocate. In fact, as I posted recently, I just recently became state certified, I got a certification with the state for being a domestic violence advocate. That's truly my heart, and God has done so much healing and deliverance in me from that. But again, because of Domestic Violence Awareness Month starting October 1st, wanted to share a little bit about my story. There's so much more to it, of course. I'm just kind of giving the Reader's Digest version, but if you've listened this far, I really appreciate it. I'm not, again, airing out dirty laundry. I'm just really trying to bring awareness that it can happen to people. And I know so many women who have experienced this who just don't ever mention it again. I mean, that's, for whatever reason. But thanks for listening, and I pray that it brought some type of awareness to somebody, or just even the testimony of what God can do in your life if you allow him to heal you. He's done such a huge healing. And I know some people will say, like, why would you even stay in that relationship? That's so it's sort of demoralizing to hear that. because unless you've been in that situation yourself, you wouldn't understand what it was like when I literally felt like I couldn't leave. And in fact, I'll just share this really quick. The moment I realized that there was truly no one on this earth, or at least I felt like there was truly no one on this earth, not law enforcement, not family, not back then a priest, no one on this earth could help me, was the day when I told him I was gonna call the cops. And he said, if you call the cops, you're only gonna piss me off because I will get out, and then you're gonna get it worse. And that's why I was more afraid to leave than I was to stay, because I didn't think that I could go anywhere. This man was so powerful as how he had me believing. So again, thanks for letting me share. God is good. God is so good. He's done so much healing, and I just pray blessings over you guys, and especially, again, if you are in that situation, or if you were and you never got the healing or the help that you need, I encourage you to do that. So God bless you guys.